The evening was dark, and heavy rain hit the streets like falling stones. The whole city looked tired. Cars moved slowly, lights were blurry, and people rushed to go home. But inside one fancy restaurant, everything was bright, warm, and expensive. Soft music played, candles glowed on every table, and rich people talked and laughed loudly. The door of the restaurant had a golden handle, and a guard stood straight outside. No one expected anything strange to happen tonight. But then, something happened that made everyone silent. The restaurant door opened with a sharp sound. Cold wind rushed inside. Everyone turned their heads. At the door stood a woman and her small daughter. Both were covered in thick, wet mud from their clothes to their hands, even their hair. The rain had ruined everything they wore. The mother held her daughter tightly, trying to hide her from the cold wind. People stared at them, shocked. Some customers twisted their lips in disgust. Some whispered to each other. A few laughed softly. Someone even said, "Are they lost? This is not a shelter." The mother stepped inside slowly. Her sandals made a squishy noise because of the mud. Her clothes were simple and old. But her eyes carried a quiet strength, even though she looked tired. Her daughter, around 8 years old, looked scared, but held her mother's hand with trust. The manager rushed toward them. He forced a fake smile and said loudly, "Ma'am, this place is not for people." In this condition, his voice was sharp, and he wanted everyone to hear it. The mother took a deep breath and replied softly, "We have a reservation." The customers laughed again. Reservation? In this restaurant? Maybe they want free food. Look at their clothes. The mother ignored the comments, but her little girl's eyes filled with tears. She looked down at the floor, trying to hide her face. The manager shook his head. "Sorry, you cannot stay here. You will disturb the other guests." The mother's lips trembled. She tried to explain, "It's my daughter's birthday." "I promised her birthday?" Someone behind them laughed. "Is this a joke?" The daughter squeezed her mother's hand. "Mama, we can go home." "It's okay," she whispered. But the mother swallowed her pain. She didn't want her daughter's special day to end like this. She lifted her chin slightly, trying to stay strong. "Please check the reservation again," she said. The manager crossed his arms. "There is no need. There is no table for you here. Please leave." People watched like it was entertainment. No one tried to help. The rain outside roared louder, making everything feel even colder. The mother finally lowered her head. She realized she was not welcome. She held her daughter again, ready to turn around and step back into the storm. But then a deep voice rose from the corner of the restaurant. "Stop." The sound echoed through the room, making everyone freeze. The laughter stopped. The manager turned nervously. A man stood up from a table near the window. He wore a simple black shirt, but there was something strong and confident in his presence. Everyone recognized him. He was a regular customer, someone respected. Someone wealthy? He walked forward slowly and said in a clear, steady voice, "Their table is with me." The whole restaurant fell silent. People looked at him, confused. The manager's face turned pale. The mother stared at him, trying to understand. The little girl blinked, unsure what was happening. Why did he stand up for them? Did he know them? Who was he? The man looked at the mother with a soft smile, but his eyes carried a deep meaning. Like he remembered something important. And then he said the words that shocked everyone in the room. "They are my guests." Everyone froze again. The manager stuttered. The customers whispered nervously. The mother felt her heart shake. But why would a rich, respected man defend a mud-covered woman and her child? The answer was hidden in a past no one else knew. The restaurant became quiet after the man's surprising words. People kept staring, trying to understand what was happening. But the man did not explain anything. He simply nodded at the mother and the little girl, as if telling them they were safe now. The mother didn't move for a moment. Her heart beat fast. She looked at the man's face again. Something felt familiar, but she could not remember what. The rainwater slowly dripped from her hair to the shiny restaurant floor. The cold wind from outside touched her back. Her daughter held her hand tightly, confused but hopeful. The manager stepped aside, unsure what to do. He had never seen this man raise his voice before. The man calmly said, "Please, follow me." His voice was gentle now, completely different from a moment ago. He led them toward a table near the warm candles. But before the story continued inside the restaurant, her mind traveled back to the morning. Back to how everything began. The day had started with sunlight and a simple happiness. The mother woke up early at 4 a.m. long before her daughter. She worked 2 part-time jobs and took small tasks whenever she could find them. Every rupee mattered. Every minute mattered. Life was not easy, but she never complained. Her daughter was her reason to stay strong. That morning, the mother looked at her daughter, sleeping peacefully. A soft smile came to her face. Today was special, her daughter's 8th birthday. She had promised her a nice dinner, something the child had never experienced before. A real restaurant, the daughter called it. The mother knew she did not have much money, but she had been saving little by little for months. Even when she felt tired, even when her hands hurt from cleaning, she kept going because she wanted this day to be perfect. After preparing breakfast and sending her daughter to school, she started her work. She washed clothes for a nearby family, cleaned an old house, and delivered some packages. Her clothes got dirty, her hands felt rough, but she did not stop smiling. Around noon, dark clouds appeared. Rain began with small drops but soon became a storm. Roads turned muddy, and the water made everything harder. But she still worked because she needed every rupee. When school ended, she picked up her daughter. The rain had made the road slippery. They shared one umbrella, but the strong wind made it useless. Their clothes started soaking. The daughter hugged her mother, trying to stay warm. "Are we still going to the restaurant?" the little girl asked. "Yes," the mother said, even though her heart was turning heavy. She wanted to keep her promise. They reached home, changed clothes, and got ready. But then something unexpected happened. Their neighbor's child slipped into the mud and cried for help. Without thinking, the mother ran to lift him. In the struggle, she and her daughter fell into the muddy water. Their clean clothes were ruined again. The neighbor apologized many times, but the mother only smiled. "Children come first," she said softly. But inside she worried. They had no more clean outfits, no time to dry clothes, no money to buy new ones. Still the daughter whispered, "Mama, we can still go. I don't mind." Her small words gave the mother courage. And so they walked through the rain, through the mud, through the cold wind. They walked with hope. They walked with love. By the time they reached the restaurant, they looked nothing like the other guests. They were wet, muddy, and tired. But they were determined. They opened the golden door and found judgment instead of welcome. People laughed. The manager insulted them. And the mother felt her heart crack. That was when the man in the corner stood up and said, "Their table is with me." Now, back in the present moment. As she sat at the table he offered, the mother looked at him again. There was something in his eyes, something warm, something familiar. But she could not remember where she had seen him before. The mystery of who he really was just beginning. The warm air of the restaurant slowly melted the cold feeling on the mother's skin. She and her daughter sat quietly at the table the man had shown them. The candle between them flickered, making their tired faces look softer. The mother placed her hand on her daughter's shoulder, trying to calm her trembling. But inside, her own heart was still shaking. The guests around them whispered again, though more carefully now. No one wanted to upset the man who had spoken with so much authority. Some pretended to ignore the situation. Their eyes kept drifting toward the muddy pair. The manager approached the man, forcing a polite smile. "Sir, I am very sorry. We did not know they were your guests." The man turned his eyes toward him, calm but sharp. "And if they were not my guests," he asked softly, "would you still treat them this way?" The manager froze. A few customers lowered their eyes, embarrassed. The mother felt her chest tighten. She had been insulted before in life, but somehow this moment cut deeper. Maybe because her daughter had seen it. The man sighed and said, "Bring the menus, and bring towels so they can dry." The manager nodded quickly and hurried away. The daughter looked at the man shyly. She pulled her muddy dress closer to herself and whispered to her mother, "Mama, He seems nice. The mother nodded, though she still felt confused. She watched the man carefully. His face was serious, but there was warmth in his eyes. The kind of warmth that made her feel like she was not just another stranger. When the towels arrived, the mother helped her daughter clean her hands and face. "You're still beautiful," she whispered to her daughter. The girl smiled brightly, and her eyes shined again like a hopeful little star. The man watched them silently. For a moment, he remembered a different place, a different time, a memory that belonged to both of them. But the mother still did not recognize him. When the manager placed the menus on their table, the woman gently pushed it toward her daughter. "Choose something, sweetheart." The girl opened the menu and gasped, "Mama, these prices are so big. We cannot buy this." The mother looked away, trying to hide her pain. She had saved, but not enough for the fancy dishes. She knew she could afford only the cheapest items, and after the muddy fall, she was already tired and ashamed. The man leaned forward slightly. "Order anything you want," he said in a low voice. "It is her birthday." The daughter looked at him with wide eyes. "How did you know it is my birthday?" He smiled. "Mothers don't dress up their children in bright hair clips on normal days." The daughter giggled, touching her small butterfly clip. The mother lowered her gaze. She felt gratitude but also discomfort. She hated depending on anyone. She had always fought alone. But today was different. Still, the question kept echoing in her mind. Why was he helping them? Who was he? Before she could speak, a group of women from another table began whispering loudly. "Look, the mud is falling on the chair. They should sit outside. This is ruining the atmosphere." Their judgment felt like sharp needles. The mother's eyes filled, but she blinked hard, refusing to cry. The man suddenly turned toward the women. His voice was controlled, but powerful. "If mud on a chair can ruin your evening," he said, "perhaps the problem is not the mud." The women fell silent immediately. The daughter stared at him in awe. Her mother looked at him with deep confusion. People did not usually defend them. People did not usually care. The man then called the waiter. "Please bring a birthday candle for the little girl." The waiter nodded quickly. A soft silence returned. The mother finally gathered courage to speak. "Sir, thank you. But, do we know you?" The man looked at her for a long moment. His expression softened, almost painfully. He opened his mouth to answer, but suddenly the lights flickered. A strong wind pushed the entrance door open again. The thunder outside cracked loudly, pulling everyone's attention. The moment to reveal the truth slipped away. The mother still had no idea that this man was connected to a part of her past she had long forgotten. But he remembered everything. The thunder outside grew louder, shaking the windows of the restaurant. People looked toward the entrance, but the man kept his eyes on the mother. He seemed ready to answer her question, but something stopped him. Maybe it was fear. Maybe it was emotion. Or maybe it was because he didn't know how to bring back a memory she had forgotten long ago. The mother waited, confused by his silence. Her daughter leaned closer, whispering, "Mama, does he know us?" "I don't know," she replied softly. The waiter arrived with a small candle, breaking the moment. He placed it gently on the table beside the girl. "For the birthday girl," he said with a smile. The daughter clapped softly. Her cheeks glowed with excitement, even if her dress was muddy and her hair still wet. The man watched her closely. He remembered another little girl from many years ago, a girl who shared her biscuits with him when he had nothing to eat. His heart ached at the memory. The mother saw the change in his expression. He was no longer just helping them. He was remembering something painful, something deep. The restaurant lights steadied again, and the warm glow returned. The man finally spoke, but instead of answering her question, he asked one. "Do you remember a small tea stall near the old bus station?" he said quietly. The mother's eyes widened. The breath in her chest paused. That tea stall. She had worked there many years ago, long before her daughter was born. A time of hardship, a time she rarely talked about. "Yes, I remember," she said slowly. "I used to work there." The man nodded. "I know how?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. He rested his hands on the table. Because I was the boy who used to sit outside that stall. The mother stared at him, but her mind struggled to match the face of a successful man with the face of a hungry child she once knew. The man continued, his voice softer now. I was the boy with torn shoes, the one people pushed away, the one no one cared about. And suddenly, the memory came back like lightning, a skinny boy shaking in the cold. A boy with dirt on his face, sitting alone. A boy who never asked for help but clearly needed it. She had given him warm tea, old clothes from lost customers, and leftover food whenever she could. Her breath caught in her throat. You're that boy? He nodded once. Yes. The mother covered her mouth with her hand, her eyes filled with shock and emotion. She looked again at his face, and now she could see it, the same kindness in his eyes, it's the same sadness he once carried. The daughter looked between them, confused. Mama, who was he? The mother wiped her eyes. A boy who needed help, she whispered. The man leaned back slightly. You didn't just give me food, he said. You gave me hope. You spoke to me when no one else did. You told me that kindness is never wasted. Mother remembered those words. She had said them without thinking, only trying to comfort a lonely child. But he had held on to them like a lifeline. He continued, After that, I worked hard. Very hard. I studied. I saved. I built my business. But I never forgot your words. Or your face. The mother felt tears fall freely now. She had helped many people in her life, but she had never expected anything in return. And she had never imagined that one of those people would end up here saving her. On her daughter's birthday, the man looked around at the restaurant. When I saw you today, he said, covered in mud, being judged by everyone. I felt the same pain I felt as a child. The daughter slowly reached out and touched the man's hand. Thank you for helping my mama, she said in her tiny voice. The man smiled, but there was sadness behind it. Your mother helped me first. The mother wiped her cheeks again. I only did what any person should do, shook his head. No, you did more. You gave me dignity when I had none. Now, it is my turn. The restaurant fell silent once again, not out of judgment this time, but out of respect. The truth had finally been revealed. For a long moment, the restaurant stayed completely silent. Every table, every chair, every candle seemed to pause. People who had laughed earlier now looked uncomfortable, unsure where to put their eyes. The man sat back in his chair, but his expression remained gentle, steady, almost protective. The mother wiped her face quickly, embarrassed by her own tears. She didn't want her daughter to feel worried, but the little girl squeezed her mother's hand and whispered, Mama, it's okay. You're strong. Her words gave the mother courage. She sat straighter. The man turned to the manager, who stood a short distance away, tense and stiff like a statue. Please bring the best meal you serve here, the man said, and bring it quickly. The manager swallowed hard. Yes, sir. Right away, sir. He hurried toward the kitchen. People around them exchanged guilty looks. Some glanced at the muddy floor near their table. A few tried to smile awkwardly, pretending they had never judged the mother and daughter. But the little girl didn't care about them anymore. Her eyes sparkled again. Mama, is this real? She whispered. Are we really going to eat here? The mother brushed a strand of wet hair from her daughter's forehead. Yes, she said softly. Today is still your birthday. The man watched them with quiet warmth. Every child deserves a special day, he said. And every mother deserves respect. A waiter arrived with warm towels, placing them politely in front of the mother and daughter. The mother thanked him softly and helped her daughter clean her face, hands, and muddy arms. The little girl giggled as the warm towel tickled her cheeks. When they finished, the waiter placed 2 glasses of fresh juice on the table. Compliments from the chef, he said gently. The man nodded at him, then turned back to the mother. You gave me food when I had nothing, he said. Let me give you this evening. The mother lowered her eyes, feeling overwhelmed. Sir, you don't have to. He raised his hand lightly. Please, let me. The smell of delicious food soon filled the air. The chef himself walked out of the kitchen with his staff. They placed plates on the table, steaming pasta, fresh bread, creamy soup, and a small birthday cake with a pink candle. The little girl gasped loudly, for the birthday girl. The chef said with a warm smile. The girl whispered, "Thank you," like she was speaking to angels. People around them watched quietly. Their faces softened. Some whispered apologies to themselves. Others looked ashamed, remembering how they had laughed. One woman from the earlier mocking group slowly stood up. She walked over and said, I am sorry. I misjudged you." The mother nodded politely but stayed quiet. The man simply replied, "Kindness should not depend on clothes." The woman walked away with her head down. The mother looked at the man again, her eyes shining. "You've changed so much," she said softly. "You're successful now?" He smiled gently. "Because someone believed in me when I was nothing." The little girl leaned forward, excited. "Mama, can I blow the candle now?" The man nodded. "Of course. Make a wish." The girl closed her eyes tightly, holding her breath. She wished silently, then blew the candle. The flame went out, and everyone at the nearby tables smiled quietly, touched by the scene. The mother clapped softly. "Happy birthday, my love." The girl threw her arms around her mother's waist. "This is the best day ever." For the first time that day, the mother laughed a real, soft laugh that carried relief, warmth, and gratitude. The man watched them with a proud smile. "You deserve moments like this every day," he said. The mother looked at him. "Life is not always kind. But today? Today feels like a miracle." He held her gaze. "It's not a miracle. It's the return of kindness." The mother felt her heart grow lighter. Her daughter looked happier than ever. The heavy rain outside no longer mattered. What mattered was that someone they once helped had returned with a heart full of respect. But the night was not over. The biggest surprise was still waiting. The birthday candle's smoke disappeared into the warm air of the restaurant. But the glow in the little girl's eyes stayed bright. She tasted her first bite of warm pasta, giggling with excitement, while her mother watched her with a heart full of relief. The man sat quietly, letting them enjoy the moment he had tried so hard to protect. The mother glanced at him again, still amazed that the small boy she once helped had grown into a confident, successful man. Life had taken him far, but not far enough to forget kindness. For a while, they ate in peaceful silence. The storm outside softened, and only light raindrops tapped against the window. The restaurant, which once felt hostile, now felt calm and welcoming. After finishing the meal, the daughter leaned back in her chair, happy and full. "Mama," she said, "I want to come here every birthday." The mother laughed softly. "We will see, my love." The man smiled at their conversation. Then he cleared his throat, as if gathering courage for something important. "There's one more thing," he said quietly. "Something I've wanted to do for a long time." The mother looked at him curiously. "What is it?" He took a deep breath. "I want to help you." She froze. "Help me? How?" He leaned forward, speaking slowly so she wouldn't misunderstand. "I know how hard your life has been. I know how much you've struggled alone. You gave kindness to a child who wasn't yours. Now I want to give you something in return." The mother shook her head quickly. "No, sir. I don't need anything. You already gave us so much tonight. Please don't feel responsible." The man smiled gently. "I don't feel responsible. I feel grateful." The mother lowered her eyes, unsure what to say. He continued, "I own a small company. It's growing fast, and I need trustworthy people. I want to offer you a job there. A stable one. With good pay." Her heart stopped for a moment. A job. With good pay? From a man she once helped. She tried to speak, but her voice trembled. "Sir, why me?" "There are many people who need jobs. Because," he said, "you helped me when no one else did. And because I know your strength, I've seen it. A weak person cannot walk miles through the rain, covered in mud, only to keep a promise to her child." The little girl looked up at her mother with wide eyes. "Mama, a new job." The mother felt tears fill her eyes again. Her hands trembled on the table. "But I never studied much," she whispered. "I'm not good with computers or numbers." The man shook his head. "I don't need those things. I need someone honest. Someone who works hard. Someone who understands struggle. I can teach skills, but I cannot teach heart. He pointed gently toward her chest. And you have the strongest heart I've ever seen. The mother covered her face with her hands, overwhelmed. The daughter quickly hugged her, whispering, "Mama, please say yes." The mother finally looked up, her eyes wet but shining. If you really think I can do it, then yes." The man's face broke into a sincere smile. "You will not regret it." For the first time in a long time, the mother felt hope real, hope warm, and bright. She could finally imagine a future without constant fear of rent, bills, or hunger. A future where her daughter could dream bigger. The little girl looked at the man. "Sir, when I grow up, I want to help someone too," she said proudly. He smiled deeply. That is how kindness continues. Outside, the rain finally stopped. The sky cleared, and moonlight touched the windows of the restaurant. The man stood up and said, "Let me drop you both home." The mother hesitated but nodded. Tonight, she didn't feel like a burden. She felt valued. As they walked toward the door, people stood up from their tables in respect. Some even bowed their heads. No laughter. No judgment. Only admiration. The mother and daughter stepped into the peaceful night. And the man walked beside them, someone who once needed help. Now, giving it back, a circle of kindness had finally closed, and a new beginning had quietly opened. If you want, I can also create.